welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my co-host, my uncle Andrew Barreto, and my guest, my uncle Joe. Today we got some NFL news, we got some contract extensions, we got a contract uh, reconstruction in New Orleans, one of their star players. In the NBA, Summer League has ended. We have a new champion, obviously the MVP of that tournament, as well as updated news on the Kawhi Leonard trade, a new trade involving the Thunder, and Steph Curry got himself in the Hall of Fame while he's an active player. So we'll talk about that. MLB weekly standings update, as well as a little bit of MLB news. There was a race in Formula One. We'll talk about that, and we'll end off with the World Cup finale. So to kick us off, Alvin Kamara, longtime New Orleans Saint. Been the running back for quite some time. We all remember his 6 touchdowns, I believe on Christmas Day, if I'm not mistaken, close to Christmas. He had 6 touchdowns in a game against the Vikings. Anyways, reports were coming out because the Saints had signed Travis Etienne. And so there was concern and question about what will Alvin Kamara do. Well, he has decided to stay a Saint and he wants to retire a Saint, and so he reworked his deal. That'll pay him $6 million for this season, with a chance to earn up to $8.5 million with incentives. And I think that's great. You get a 1-2 punch with Kamara and Etienne. Granted, they do play similar style of ball. They're kind of receiving backs. But, you can never have, you're always going to split reps with your running backs. It's always good to have, 2 guys that carry the load. And for the Saints, for a team that's, counting on Tyler Shuck to hold down the ball, I think having Kamara, the veteran, and Etienne, who obviously has been in the league for a couple of seasons now, is really good to back him up.
Yeah, it's good combo there. Kamara, he's getting older. He's like you said, he has a lot of years in the league, and I'm sure his body's getting beat up. But it's good to have some of that help that they got coming, so they could have a 1-2 combo. Looks like his numbers dipped. 11 games played, 471 yards. So hopefully, taking a little pressure off of him will get him back to the way he was. He was previously, before that, 950 yards, and I think you may have had him in fantasy football. That's why you know more about his stats and everything, because he's got a memorable 6 touchdown game you mentioned.
Yeah, I did have him that season in fantasy. It was a great week for myself back then. But yeah, and obviously his numbers have dipped. But like I said, it's just great. You want to keep your guys who want to stay with the team, and he obviously still wants to stay a Saint.
Yeah, and his whole career is there, right? I'm looking at his stats right now. Yeah, so that kind of person, just willing to do things for the team. He's unselfish, and I like the signing. Just keep it. I'm always down for the teams that draft you to keep you throughout your career. I know it's tough. Free agency, big money gets thrown around like we've talked about so much, but I like the signing. Just keep them at home, and you see how many more years they have at them.
Yeah, I don't know what his contract was. I know it was a big contract that he got at the time. So him taking a pay cut, that's really good for the team. They could pick up other players now. It's good for the team, like you said. They drafted him. He's staying with the team. It's great. I like the signing of Etienne. So the 1-2 punch. I mean, if we'll see who starts. Probably be Kamara, but eventually it might be Etienne. So it's a good battle. Like you said, Drew, they're the same type of player. It's just that one's about 7 years younger or something like that, around there. So, Etienne he's a great player, great back. So, you're not losing anything if Kamara comes off, the sideline, or vice versa. If, one's always going to be fresh and they got, it's good that, like I said, the quarterback's going to need a lot of help. So, even if you split them in the backfield, you can have one go one way, the other go the other way, and it's definitely going to help the quarterback out. So it's a good move, and good thing he did that by taking a pay cut.
Yeah, most definitely, right? I mean, obviously, we all know the salary cap goes up every year, but that means contracts go up. So money is really valuable in the NFL. And like you said, just even if it's just a couple million, it's a big difference. We talked about it kind of in any sport. But yeah, so huge for Kamara. Obviously, loves New Orleans, loves the city, loves the fans, and he just says, "Hey, if it's gonna cost me a pay cut, I'll take the pay cut because I'm happy where I'm at." So good for him. But moving to the Packers, they signed an extension with their first round pick, former first round pick in 2022, Devontae Wyatt. He's got himself a new 3-year, $57 million extension with Green Bay with a $20 million signing bonus. He has been hampered with injuries, but when he's healthy, he's been really solid for them. He had 10.5 sacks and 59 tackles between 2023 and 2024. Um, and into his 2025 started really well too before he suffered a season-ending injury. But now back for 2026, he's looking to be healthy. And it's another one of those things. Green Bay, you draft talent, you want to keep him. He's obviously entering his 4th season, and now he's under a new 3-year contract. Which is really good for them because they had 2 first-round picks this year when they made the trade when they traded Devontae Adams. They acquired the first-round pick from the Raiders, where they used that on Quay Walker. Now Quay Walker is funny enough is in Vegas now. So it's a full circle moment for him. But yeah, so Green Bay keeping their defensive tackle after trading Rashawn Gary. They need to have someone there on the line, and they wanted to shore him up for a few more seasons.
Yeah, and again, we talked about it several times. Big money. He's got a $20 million signing bonus. For someone who, what did you say? He had 4 sacks. His last year, his season was cut short. 28 years old, so what was it? 3-year contract? 3-year deal, $57 million extension. All right, it's time to step up here because you're getting paid, and right now they're just looking at his upside, I think, but yeah, you get someone like that. You need some big body in there, defensive tackle to stop the run game. So they just figured let's get him his extension out of the way and let's go play football.
Yeah, it's a good signing for the Packers. You need those D tackles to take up those double teams for their pass rush up, on the ends. For the one they traded for the Cowboys. I can't even think his name right now. Parsons. So, it definitely helps them out, and it's something that's good for the Packers because you always need that pass rush inside. It's hard to get that when you find it, like I said, and yeah, it's only 4.5 sacks, but you're not expecting a lot from your D tackle, but it just helps out to, like I said, free up guys to make other plays, and your linebackers and DN. So I think that was a great signing. It's good. He's 28, like you said. Now it's time to just keep working and keep moving, and you're in your prime. So now is the time to shine.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. And speaking of this next contract that we're going to sign, he's also in his prime, and it's Jordan Brooks. Former Seattle Seahawk, has been spent his past 2 seasons in Miami. He got himself a nice 3-year, $51.3 million contract extension that includes a $35 million in guaranteed money. This past season, he earned his first career All-Pro selection. In the past 2 seasons, he's piled up 326 tackles, 24 loss, and 6.5 sacks in 34 games. He's been really good. He was the 3rd player of the pillars and that Miami team to receive a contract extension. The other 2 being Devon Achane and the center Aaron Burr. But yeah, the signing will keep Brooks through his age 32 season of 2029, and it lands him at the 5th annually of linebacker salaries, slotted between Philadelphia's Zach Bond and Houston's Azeez Al-Shaair. So really good for Jordan Brooks. Obviously was a Seattle Seahawk. Obviously was not on the championship team, but got himself as the main man in Miami and got himself a nice payday.
Yeah, he's the captain, the vocal leader. Ever since he showed up, he's taken initiative and trying to build something there. And just a good payday. And again, it's just time to go out there and put it on the field. And $35 million guaranteed. Wow. Um, yeah, I think it's just time to start earning that cash, like we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great linebacker. Um, a lot of tackles, which is great. You always want that out of your linebacker. So, I mean, he's definitely earned it. Well-respected guy, So there's nothing much more to say. Like you both already said. He's it's a great talent. You already lost a lot of talent in Miami, so you want to keep some of it. So especially a linebacker like that. It's not easy to find a linebacker like that. So it's a good thing that they signed him because someone definitely would have signed him and used him very, very well. So it's a good thing for the Dolphins that they kept him.
Yeah, and especially and it makes sense. The new head coach. I almost said Greg Heffley, but it's not Greg Heffley. Jeff, I believe it's Jeff Heffley, former defensive coordinator for the Packers, is the Dolphins' new head coach. So defensive-minded coach keeping his defensive players, it's what you want. Like you said, Andrew, he's a vocal leader, guy that's all over the field, and that's exactly what you want running your defense. You want a leader running your defense, and that's exactly who they have. But that is all for NFL news. Moving on to the NBA, we'll start off with the three-team trade, including the Thunder and former first overall pick. Lou Dort is heading to Atlanta. Lou Dort and Ryan Nembhard from the Dallas Mavericks is heading to Atlanta. The Mavericks are receiving Zachary Richardson. Well, I'm probably going to pronounce that wrong. And it's protected 2027 second round pick. The Thunder receive a 2027 second round pick from Chicago via Dallas, and then two second round picks from Atlanta. So the first overall pick from 2024 is already on the move. He's going to have a fresh start in Dallas. And, longtime Thunder Lou Dort, those questions of will he stay? Will the team get rid of him? And they are obviously now handing the keys to Jared McCain to be the starting shooting guard for that Thunder team. We all saw what Jared McCain did, and obviously Lou Dort's time. Obviously, he's a great defender, does the dirty work for them, but his time in Oklahoma is up.
Yeah, that's I don't like the trade, but I see what they're doing, right? I mean, they've already lost, OKC. They're still a good team, right? But still, they're getting rid of some key players here. Lou Dort, all defensive first team. Just he's their Draymond Green. You know what I mean? Like he's that guy on the defensive side, and to trade him to give up to one of your main guys on your team. I mean, they already lost Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe, so it's going to be hard for them. I know they're already breaking up the team after they won one championship and were disappointed the following year. Looks like the back-to-back championship's not going to happen, or any I don't know in the foreseeable future, but I'm just saying they're getting rid of some key players. I think it's just going to be harder while other teams in the West are adding players. As for the first round pick, I mean, he's already on the move. There's no patience there at all from the Hawks. They already moved on from the first pick of the draft in 2024. You look around who else was drafted number one? It's you got Paulo Banchero, Victor Wembanyama, Zachary Ricochet, what we're talking about, Cooper Flagg, and AJ DeBonza. And before that was Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, Zion Williamson. You're they already gave up on the first pick of the draft. I think it's just the position he plays. They're kind of loaded with in that regards, and can't believe he's already on the move after a couple of years. But then again, he didn't play much. So I think the Hawks, they got themselves obviously they got themselves a hell of a player, and we'll see there. OKC was talking a lot about winning, back to back and three-peat, and we're gonna do all this. So we'll see. How you're getting rid of some key players. So it's not that easy what the Warriors did, Always bringing up the Warriors, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's a great trade for Atlanta. They gave up on their first overall pick, but I mean they get a great defender, and I mean they're building in Atlanta. So like we said before in the past in the show that at least I've said that Atlanta is the only team that took New York to 6 games. So It's great. Great for Atlanta to build on the defense over there, help out. He's a young player indoors, so I mean, it's just a great move for Atlanta. I see why they did it. It was a good move. OKC did it because they didn't want to pay him. You know, and they got a lot of. They wanted more picks. Get other players, and they gained. I think 4 second-round picks or 3, something like that. So they did do well for themselves. So I like the trade. I thought it was a good trade. OKC, they're still drafting good. I mean, they got another 7-footer, so I mean, or 7'2" guy. So not like they're not doing anything with their picks. So it was a good one. I like I said, they weren't going to really re-sign them or keep them, so might as well just trade them and get something for them, and they did. And for Atlanta, I just think it's a great move for Atlanta to make that pick or that move, and definitely going to be a good move for Atlanta, and this is going to help them move up in that conference.
Yeah, when we think of, it's kind of crazy that, Atlanta traded the first overall pick from, 2 years ago. But Andrew, when you're naming those other names around him, his name is nowhere close. And to be quite honest, that draft class in general, the 2024 draft class, it really isn't
Right.
no one crazy. I mean, the fourth pick was Stephon Castle. We know what he's done in the finals. He could have, potentially been the first pick. Guys like Reed Shepard still hasn't showed all that much. Ron Holland, Alex Sarr and the Wizards hasn't shown anything crazy. Rob Dillingham, he hasn't shown anything crazy. And Jared McCain's another guy. He's shown that hey, he could, could have potentially been Rookie of the Year had he not torn his ACL. We saw what he did in the playoffs for the Thunder. He could have been, number one pick worthy, but obviously they're not. And so, I think it's not really crazy that they traded him because that draft class in general just wasn't anything special, and it was just kind of an unfortunate time for Atlanta to get the first overall pick. Because then you look at this
right.
year, AJ Dabansta, last year Cooper Flag,
Yeah.
and the year before that was was it Wemby, I think. So yeah, it's just unfortunate time for Atlanta to get the first overall pick, but they moved
And,
on.
and, that,
And they
and that's what I was thinking about too, right? It's like that's an unfortunate time for Atlanta to have that number one pick because everybody else we named, that I named there as the number one pick is just, franchise player. You know what I mean? They're just going to be, they're not going anywhere. Wembanyama, he's already pushing to get a championship. Cooper Flag, he's throwing up 50-point games. And we already seen what he's able to do at 19 years old. And AJ Debonza already in summer league, I think he played like 2 games and was already the Washington Wizards say, okay, we're going to shut you down. You showed us enough, because he already, he had 2 solid, I think it's two solid outings in summer league play. So yeah, unfortunate situation for the Hawks, and they're still trying to make the most out of it. And I think they have a solid player. I just don't know what OKC's doing. I get the whole contract thing, but if you have these cornerstones on your team, like we were talking about earlier, like Alvin Kamara, you want to keep your guys, and I thought Lou Dort was one of their guys, along with Shea and trying to build multiple championships there in OKC, but they decided to go other ways. So we'll see what they get with those draft picks, and I'm sure they'll be fine without them. But that's a big, plenty of offense. But when it comes to the defensive side, we'll see who steps up for them.
Yeah, and like you said, they get a great player in Lou Dort, and even Ryan Nembhard. Obviously he's not his brother Andrew Nembhard, who on the Pacers, who we've seen do great things in the final. But Ryan Nembhard is a great role player off the bench. But yeah, so that's interesting. But quick news too: Warriors ended up winning the Summer League championship. Their first round pick, Yaxel Lindenberg, he won the MVP of that series. Just Warriors fans just gotta throw it out there. But speaking
Yeah.
more on trade news, we talked about the Kawhi Leonard trade a few weeks ago, and things could go really bad, essentially for both teams. More news came out that with the investigation taking too long, it could come to a time where in October, Grady Dick and Brandon Ingram are still technically Toronto Raptors, and Kawhi Leonard will still technically be a Clipper. And October is when we'll get really close to the season starting, and potentially, if there is a breakthrough in the investigation, Kawhi Leonard will most likely be punished with either a suspension or having his contract voided. And if it's severe enough, the Raptors could end up declining the trade after all. Um, and it's an unfortunate situation for the Raptors because you think you're getting an all-time Hall of Fame player in Kawhi Leonard, and then this news comes out, and you might be sitting there thinking, okay, well, with two guys we just traded, uh, gonna have to come back, and what are those guys thinking in their minds? Like, hey, you just technically traded us, however, we're still stuck on the team. Like that, just what do you go from then?
It's a bad look, bad move. Yeah, or not a move yet, but you figure they would have done some homework. I think they did, and maybe they're just assessing that, and maybe they just hold out until the Raptors. Maybe they're holding out to see how this goes. If he's suspended, I mean, you still have yourself wait toward the suspension. Who knows how long it's going to be, but after the suspension, you're still technically getting Kawhi Leonard, So it's a tough position. Just almost like a joke of a transaction. Yeah, they have the other two guys just waiting in limbo there, seeing what's happening. And, but I think when it's all said and done, the trade-off is Kawhi Leonard or Grady Dick and Brandon Ingram. Don't get me wrong. I mean, those guys are still. Brandon Ingram's a good player, but when trading for Kawhi, we'll wait and see what happens.
I think it is what it is. It's a business. It's part of the game. Everyone's got guaranteed money, so the only one who's going to suffer is Kawhi. Personally, that's what I feel. I mean, the other guys, like you said, it's well, we're on the team still. You try to trade us. Well, it's part of the business. It happens. It happens in every sport. You know what I mean? So they got. I mean, they were the 6th seed still with those two guys. So I mean, there's nothing that's going to change there. For me personally, I think that it's better for Toronto that they don't get Kawhi because I mean, he's 35, 36 years old. I mean, he ain't the Kawhi that won him the championship. I'll tell you that much. So, that's just how I feel. So for them to, what's going to happen is that I agree with Drew that he's probably going to get suspended. More likely, probably at least a year or at least 20, 25 games. But I don't think he's going to get a year because it's a big scandal, and, a lot of pro sports don't like the scandals because it's bad for the business. Like I said, it's a business. And you know what? Grady Dick and the other guy, they're still great players, and they're good. They're good players, I should say, not great, but they are good players. Like I said, they had the 6th seed, so if they could do something, with those guys again, it could be motivation. You know what? Let's just push. If we stay here, let's push and see what we can do and push that top seed in the Eastern Conference.
And it's I like how you bring that up. They don't like the scandals, right? When I think of scandals, I think of the gambling scandals and MLB. Those are, we had 2 come out last year. Those guys were banned indefinitely, and they're still not even back in the big leagues. And so obviously this isn't a gambling scandal, but it does deal with money, and so yeah, it just could be really big punishment for Kawhi Leonard and for the Raptors as well. Like you said, either could give those guys motivation or they could pivot. They say, okay, we won't trade him to LA. Obviously, we'll forget about that trade, but then we can try to move him elsewhere and bring someone else in. And so, yeah, just a weird situation for the Raptors. We'll see how they continue to handle it. But yeah, just a tricky situation. Like you think you're getting a Hall of Fame player, and instead your 2 guys that you're trading away plus your picks might stay before you even try to make the trade. But ending this off in the NBA, Stephen Curry on Friday, July 24th. So it's going to be next week, or actually no, this Friday. The Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame will make history by launching its newest exhibition dedicated entirely to the 12-time NBA All-Star, 2-time MVP, Olympic gold medalist, obviously a 4-time champion and undisputed greatest shooter of all time, Stephen Curry. The project represents the first time in the Hall's nearly 75 history that a current active player will be honored with a dedicated future experience. It's developed as the next iteration of the Hall of Fame's acclaimed gallery, the Vault. The immersive exhibit titled Stephen Curry Beyond the Arc goes far beyond Curry's legendary on-court accolades, created in direct partnership with Curry's uh, 30 Inc. business team. The exhibit is designed to explore his multifaceted legacy as a basketball icon, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and family man. So that's just, hey, first all time active player to technically be in the Hall of Fame. Nobody else than the one and only Stephen Curry. That's just incredible. LeBron ain't even there.
Dang, that's a burn. But yeah, they can't wait to put him in the Hall of Fame. They're like, we're not gonna wait till you retire. We're gonna do it now. You're gonna be the first guy for the first time in, it says, nearly 75-year history that an active player is gonna be. So just a great accomplishment. I mean, everything Steph Curry does, it turns to gold. So I think this is great. This is just, you're gonna see a lot more once he's done playing basketball. I mean, yeah. We all know that, right? He's just done so much for the game and for Oakland Street, all the charities, and he's well documented, and I think it's well deserved. So yeah, I like it. You might have to schedule see what the flights are to. I think it's Springfield, Massachusetts. I think that's where it's at, unless they moved it.
That's in Springfield, yeah.
I have to check out some Expedia prices. I don't know what that goes for nowadays.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wouldn't have done it, but I see why they did it. He's the reason why they did it probably is because he's probably, besides Kobe Bryant, has built the game worldwide. You know what I mean? So like it's worldwide that Steph Curry is just famous, like all over the world. It's not just in America. And then right now, like you said, he signed with that one company that's from China. So now they're just, the NBA is going to just boost their profits even more from China now even more. So it's like, it was a move that I feel was more for them and not for Steph. But it's like I said, it's a business. And it was pretty cool to hear that about Steph, because we're Warriors fans, but other teams probably don't like it. Other fans of other teams probably don't like it, but you know what? I mean, it is what it is. And like I said, I believe it was a business move, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, like you said, Andrew said all these great things about Steph that not just us Warriors fans see, but a lot of fans see. I was watching some highlights on him recently, and he was in Brooklyn lighting it up out there, and they were cheering the score. And that's their team. So it's like you're cheering against your team for one player, not the Warriors, but Steph Curry. So, it was just interesting watching that. So, hearing about this is like, wow, it's just like, I can't believe you guys did this, but I do believe why they did it, because everywhere Steph goes, the visiting teams start cheering him on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's much see basketball. It's just they're paying that premium to go watch, one of the greatest to play the game. It's like, going to see LeBron, going to see Jordan, going to see the Celtics in the 80s, 90s. It's just, it's all, I'm sure it's all money related, obviously. I mean, look what's happened. They already have me thinking, hey, let me check out flights to Springfield. It's like, I want to go see this what do they call it, this wing that they dedicated to Curry already, even before he's retired. So
and it's gonna include some pretty nice things. It's gonna have rare game worn gear, championship artifacts, Olympic stuff, rare footage, tracing his journey from as an overlooked college prospect to a global superstar, first-hand storytelling. I mean, just think about this now, before he's actually even in the Hall of Fame. Imagine his area when he's there. I mean, we've seen him. He has his own movie, right? His movie GOAT came out this year. That did really good numbers, for himself. He has his documentary Underrated that was on Apple TV. I don't know if he has any short films like Kobe Bryant did. Kobe Bryant is an Oscar-winning short film. But yeah, like you said, Joe, you could see why they did it. I mean, the stuff, so much that he does outside of basketball is just so super impactful. And he's the greatest show on the court. I mean, like you said, people, fans of other teams are cheering for him, and it's just rightfully so. Because like when you see him on the court, watching him for the past 10, 15 years, 10 plus years, you think you've seen it all, and then he'll just every year you'll just see something new come out of his back pocket, and he's incredible to watch, and so I think it's very well deserved. And like you said, Joe, most fans of other teams are probably not happy, but it's well
Oh, yeah.
deserved.
They've been upset this whole time ever since every time he steps on the court. And I remember being at this I forget, it was some sports bar, and watching the Warrior game, and this was even before their first championship, and of course Houston, he was a Houston Rockets fan, and just upset, just oh, you're Warrior. He's hated. He's been hated, So all this stuff is kind of just adding more to the hate of the villain that is the babyface assassin, So good for him, and yeah, we're just waiting for the season to start.
Yeah, so should be a good season. Obviously, we're still waiting on LeBron. LeBron still hasn't made a decision. Um, should hopefully come out sometime soon, because I know Adam Silver and the league are trying to get their schedule out, but they gotta wait on LeBron. So that is that.
Yeah.
That is all NBA news. Moving us on
Well,
to
one more quick thing, Drew. Did you see one more quick thing? Did you see the Wilt Chamberlain jersey?
I did not.
A 19-year-old, he went to Goodwill, and he's in the bargain bins, and he takes out it's a warm-up jacket from Wilt Chamberlain, and it's legit. It was authenticated, everything. It sold for $89,600, and he bought it for $3.
Wow, that must
So
have been
yeah,
some pretty big warm up jacket.
What I'm saying is that stuff's out there. You got to raid those Goodwill bins, man. Salvation Army, just see what you find, man. You never know. I mean, he ended up doing research on the thing, and he photo matched the jacket to when he wore it and all this stuff. They got all serious, and he's got a big payday. His highest sale was $250 because he resells on eBay, and then now he found this for $89,600.
And that's funny because people are gonna say, people always say, they find, footage of this, and that, they find old artifacts of Wilt, but they can't find footage of the 100-point game.
Yeah, right.
What are the odds of that, huh?
Yeah, well, maybe that's somewhere out there too. But moving us on to MLB's our standings update. All-Star break is over. It's a short one. We're back to games. In the AL East, Rays still have a 1.5 game lead over the Yankees, who are in second place. The Red Sox, who have won 14 straight, they're 51-48. They're 6 games behind, but looking to be in the wild card. In the AL Central, White Sox are a game above the Guardians. Both teams are at 53 wins. However, the White Sox have less losses. In the AL West, the Mariners have a half-game lead over the Rangers, and the Astros are only 3.5 games behind them as well. In the National League, Braves are 58-41. They have a 3-game lead over the Phillies. Marlins are 52-49. They are 7 games back, but they are in the wild card hunt. Brewers lead. Ooh, they're tied for the best record in baseball. They are 63-37. They have a 7-game lead over the Cubs, an 11.5 game lead over the Cardinals. In the National League West, Dodgers are 63-38. They have an 11.5 game lead over the Diamondbacks. And yeah, as for news, not much, but young star pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, Chase Burns, first time All-Star this year, didn't pitch in the game, but his first time All-Star this year, got himself a 7-year, $105 million deal. He has been great so far in 102.2 innings. This year, he's a 2.54 ERA. 37 walks, 118 Ks. He has been phenomenal for the Reds. And to be honest, I feel like he could have waited out. I feel like he could have got himself some more money. But that's what a lot of teams are doing. They're trying to extend their guys instantly and lock them up for as long as they can. Joe, you got thoughts on that?
Yeah, he could have held out, but baseball is a game where what if he hurts his shoulder, hurts his arm, then does he get paid? Probably not, or does he get paid what he just got? they'll probably give him half. So I kind of see why he did it because it's like, what if you have a bad next 2 seasons? You're not getting paid now, that's for sure. So at least take the money now because it's all guaranteed. I mean, that's the one thing about
Yeah.
baseball and basketball. It's all guaranteed. So you're getting all that money no matter what. So, it's not doesn't hurt you to take the deal. Like you said, yeah, the team did it early, probably just because they didn't want to pay him more, which is smart, But I think it was a smart move by him because, especially as a pitcher, what if you don't know how you're going to pitch the next couple of years, or do you get hurt, and if you do now, you're getting paid. So it helps that that you got this money now, and it's a well deserved. I mean, the stats you just said is definitely well deserved. I mean, those are just phenomenal stats for a young pitcher.
Yeah, and that didn't even cross my mind, right? Tommy John, get Tommy John surgery, that could have really hurt him. So yeah, so good deal for Chase Burns, since the Reds lock up their young star pitcher. But that is all for MLB. Moving on to Formula One. It was race week this past week, and it is also race week this week. But we're getting to the Belgian Grand Prix. It's the longest laps. It was only 44 laps. Longest track, I should say. Kimi Antonelli of the Mercedes, he did end up winning. Leclerc of Ferrari ended up P2. Verstappen was P3. And Antonelli extends his championship lead to, I believe, 54 points. Lewis Hamilton moves up to second after a collision with George Russell in the start of the first lap, led George Russell to DNF. So championship lead is close, but Antonelli still has a good lead. And this week it is race week. We're in Hungary for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Should be a good one. Lewis Hamilton is known to be really well at this track. So we'll see if he could get a win and close the gap to Antonelli. But to end us off, the World Cup finale. I know we didn't talk about who was in the final last week. I know I wanted England there. It didn't happen. I did put it on my thumbnail, though, because I did find out the news afterwards. But before we actually get into that, I almost forgot about the third place match. We'll bring that up real quick. I don't know, Joe, if you watched it. I did. It was like an all-star game. England came out firing. They didn't play all their star players. Declan Rice in the 3rd minute scored a really nice goal. Then I forget, one of the defenders ended up getting a header, and Saka ended up scoring 2 goals before the half. So England were up 4-0 heading to the half. Mbappe was playing. He played the whole game. He ended up coming out firing in the second half. He got 2 goals to give himself 10 in the tournament, which led to him winning the Golden Boot. Barcola scored. Someone else scored. Anyways, England ended up winning 6-3. Saka ended up getting his hat trick. Bellingham was subbed on. He scored a goal to make him the highest scoring player for England in World Cup. Not like all time, but like to score the most goals in a tournament for England. So Bellingham had 7. Harry Kane ended up playing. But yeah, England ended up winning and they got 3rd place. But in the final, we had Spain versus Argentina. And in a game I thought would be really close and competitive, it was straight dominance. Dominance from Spain. They ended up winning 1-0 in extra time. And I know you probably just heard me say dominance. How come they didn't win in normal time? Well, they were very fortunate. They had 20 shots, 11 of which were on target. Emilio Martinez for Argentina, phenomenal game. He had 11 saves. However, majority of them were right to him. And man, if Spain just worked on their headers, they probably could have had 2 extra goals in normal time and won. However, because they had a couple of headers that just missed. But there's complete dominance. Just they held 68% possession, which it felt like they had 90%. There was 21 fouls on Spain, 24 to Argentina. Argentina had 5 yellow cards. Argentina had a total of 3 shots. They had 0 shots on all of normal time, and I want to say in the first half of extra time as well. But they ended up with 3 shots, 0 which were on target. It was, looking back at this game, you kind of wish England was in this final because I don't think they would have allowed that to happen. Enzo Fernandez, no, yeah, pretty sure. Enzo Fernandez ended up getting 2 yellow cards, which led to his red after a pretty wild tackle that sent a Spain defender flying in the air. Ferran Torres in the 106th minute ends up getting the goal for Spain, and they ended up winning their first World Cup since 2010, where they ended up winning 1-0 against, I believe, the Netherlands. So, great for Spain. It was, I really enjoyed watching the game, but yeah, just complete dominance.
Hey, I watched it too. Can you believe it?
Oh, you did? Okay.
I
I wasn't sure.
did. It was yeah. No, I chimed in. I mean, it was the final, right? And apparently, I'm reading this here. It set most watched English language soccer telecast in the U.S. history. So I mean, seems like I'm not the only one, casual to not really a viewer of soccer games, chimed in to watch this, and yeah, expecting a little bit more. I think the games leading up to this were a little bit, more. I don't know. I really don't know the terminology. There's more action, I would say, more, suspense. I watch it on Telemundo. I don't know if you guys watch it. I just found it was better on Telemundo opposed to the American broadcast. The English broadcast was a little, well, yeah, it was putting me to sleep a little bit, but the Telemundo brought life and tricked us a bunch of times until like if there was several more goals when there was really only 1-0. But I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought the game the game was fine. I mean, you're playing all these extra. I was a little confused on all the extra times. I mean, it seemed like the game was not ending at all. Eventually, the halftime was good. I don't know if you saw the halftime show, and then I was a little surprised by that because I didn't know even that was going to happen. But I do forget. Oh shoot, this is a pretty big stage here. Shows how ignorant I am with the soccer world. But yeah, no, I mean I enjoyed it. I did end up getting about a few games here, probably definitely not as much as you guys, but yeah, these names that we saw throughout the Messi's, of course I know him. He's the GOAT, and Mbappe and Haaland. Those guys. In the card world, sports cards, those guys are big, and they're the expensive cards to get. And so now seeing it in action, like them playing, it's like, oh wow, these guys are really good, and they're dominant on on their represented on their team. So I had a good time watching it though.
Yeah, I actually missed the game, so I was really upset because I really wanted to watch the game. I definitely watched the highlights though that night. From what I saw, it was a great game by Spain. They've just been dominant. All their teams that they played, they've been dominant. And you know what? They showed Argentina that they weren't afraid. Yeah, you have the best player in the world, but you know what? We have a great team. And they played awesome. They played phenomenal. Just great passing. Like you said, they could have got a couple more goals. They had some chances, some missed chances, and one of the highlights I seen was which I got pretty upset was that Argentina got a yellow card, and all of a sudden they start rushing the Spain player on the floor, and they want to like stand over him because they started pushing all the Spain players, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, are you guys that mad because you guys are being dominated by a team that you probably shouldn't have been, is what you're thinking, but Spain's there for a reason, Spain has been playing phenomenal soccer, and you know what? Argentina just let it slip by them. Our Messi played horrible, in my opinion. I mean, it showed that their defense played phenomenal. The team played phenomenal, and it was a well-deserved victory for them. Andrew mentioned it was the most watched game in America for soccer. Well, it was in America, so it should have got that ratings that it should have got. So it was in New Jersey, so it should have got really good ratings, which it did, which is great. Maybe a lot of people will watch soccer now more and get the sport going in here in America, which is what it needs. And the England game, I didn't, obviously we didn't get to watch that either, but saw the highlights as well. And England probably would have played a lot better than Argentina. I mean, even France probably would have played better than Argentina. So, it was kind of disappointing to see Argentina play the way they did because, like you said, I mean, Spain, like you said, from what I saw, all the possession, it was Spain. I didn't really see any from Argentina on the highlights. You watched the whole game. You said it pretty much was like 90%, even though it wasn't. So that's what it felt like to you. So, I mean, I believe what you say because, I mean, from the highlights, that's all they showed were Spain highlights.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, yeah, like I said, the stats say it was 68%, but it just felt like Spain constantly had the ball. Argentina just, yeah, they just, I don't know, for a team that won the World Cup last year with the similar squad that they had, just they look like they shouldn't have been there. They look like a team that was totally outclassed by Spain. And I think, granted, right, they did beat England in the semifinals, but I think if England was in that game, I think it's a lot closer than this game was. And like I know it was still only 1-0. But still, when you have 20 shots compared to 3, that's telling you something. And granted, Argentina almost got its penalties, but they didn't. And yeah, like I said, Spain just they had a phenomenal tournament. Conceded 1 goal the entire time. Um, and yeah, Lamine Yamal at 19 wins the World Cup. Like I said, it's their first World Cup win since 2010. So it's only been 16 years since they last won. So, but great game nonetheless.
Yeah, it definitely was a good game. Well deserved. Good job, Spain. I'm happy and proud for them. And yeah, there's nothing else to say. I mean, it could have been a better final with different teams, but Argentina laid an egg. There's nothing we can say, and not just by not scoring, but throughout the whole game playing. I mean, from what I saw, they weren't playing like they should be playing. But you know what? Like you said, Argentina won the last World Cup, and I know you meant to say 4 years ago. Well, 4 years ago, it can change, in 4 years. So in 4 years from now, Spain could, obviously lose or, it could be anyone's game. But it was, from what I saw, it was a great game by Spain. And Argentina just let it slip by them.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we have to wait another 4 years for the World Cup. However, I might start watching soccer more. Who knows? But yeah, no. Next World Cup, it starts in Uruguay, Paraguay, and Argentina. I believe that like the
Yeah.
first couple matches start there, and then the rest of the matches are held between Portugal, Morocco, and Spain. So another
Yeah.
multi countries holding it. I think that's awesome. I think it's cool that multiple countries hold it. It brings more people together, kind of like it did this past World Cup. So that should be good nonetheless. Potential expansion to the World Cup could come as well. Who knows? They have 4 years to decide that, or I guess like 3 years to decide that because they have qualifiers. Um, but yeah, it would be a great World Cup nonetheless. Had the most goals per match. I want to say the viewership was up from last World Cup. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it was a great World Cup. Sad it's over, but it was a great 5.5 weeks that it was on.
So,
But
so that means you're not working the next World Cup then. You
no,
don't.
it's not in the
You're
U.S.,
not.
so I
You're not
won't
at.
be
You're
there.
not at Levi's or what do they call it? San Francisco Stadium or something.
No, maybe in 2034, maybe it could potentially be back in the U.S. Maybe, but
Yeah, 4 years. 4 years. That's a long time. I mean, teams get older. We get older. So I'll be 54 in 4 years. Man, dang.
Oof. I wanted to go back to the NBA real quick. The Dort trade. Andrew mentioned that the 2024 first round pick, how he was kind of like a flop. Um, he said it was a bad thing for Atlanta. But I mean, 2 years later, they get Dort, all defensive players. So they did use that pick to get something in return. So I just think that it was a good move for Atlanta. I just wanted to add that in real quick.
Yeah.
no, you're good.
Yeah. No, I was more like Drew was saying, like just the young Drew. Like Atlanta had that first pick that year, and it was kind of like, dang it, they missed Wemby by a year, or they missed Cooper Flag. But Atlanta comes through, and yeah, I think they got a good
Well, like
player
you guys said, Drew said that none of those players have done anything, from that
of
draft.
the draft.
So yeah, so I agree with you guys that no one's done anything. So they still have all those players still on those same teams. But Atlanta's like, you know what? let's just move on from this first overall pick. Let's get a good all defensive player and help build this squad. That Atlanta's building a team over there. I mean, they got rid of Trae Young and they're building, so they're looking good right now. And I just wanted to add that in.
Do you know who's not signed yet, Drew? Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it was going to come. Yeah, Jonathan Kuminga did not end up getting signed. The Lakers didn't sign
Kerr
him.
is
He's
not wrong.
He's wanted $20 million a year.
He's a champ, player, coach, you name it. He's not wrong. He is not signed yet, and we're almost done. So by the time he's signed, the season's going to start. I know this, and it just made me laugh when you said the Summer League Warriors won. Yeah, they won, but these guys are not going to play under Steve Kerr. Yaxel's a big dude. He's going to get.
He'll probably play.
Yeah, he'll play.
But not only that for
his way into the lineup.
Yeah, but not only that for the Warriors, it was some of the other guys. LJ Cryer, he had a phenomenal summer league. He showed flashes last season. Will Richard got himself some more playing time. We saw his flashes last season as well. So those guys got more games under their belt to improve their game. And then obviously, some other guys trying to find their way on a two-way contract. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see.
Too. There was a center that looked pretty good too.
Graham Ike.
Yeah,
he's from Gonzaga. I watched him live against Santa Clara. Yeah, he dominated us.
Yeah. Well, he looked good in summer league too. I mean, he's not going to make the team, but
no, he could definitely get himself a two-way contract though with Santa Cruz, because I know he had like 16 point, 13 rebound game. I want to say in the semifinals against the Lakers, but. Yeah, no, so definitely some interesting players there for Golden State. Funny quote before we end the episode. Someone said, Draymond, what is your role gonna be if LeBron signs? And he said he's gonna be the all-time PJ Tucker and be the best corner 3-point shooter. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, right.
But that is all for today.
He's keeping us in limbo, but yeah.
Yeah, but that is all for today. Thank you all for tuning in. I'd like to thank my guests, my co-hosts for joining me today. Episodes every Wednesday, posts throughout the week. I should have gotten more post-game reactions for the World Cup, but I wasn't feeling it. But phenomenal games, like I said. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, stay ready.